The sun was merciless, burning the earth into cracked veins of dust and stone, and the cries of newborns echoed weakly against the endless horizon. A young settler woman lay half-buried in the shifting sands, her body trembling with exhaustion and blood loss, her lips cracked from thirst. She had just given life to 2 fragile boys, their tiny cries piercing the silence of the desert. Alone, abandoned and broken, she had been left to die, her children clutched against her chest, her arms too weak to shield them from the scorching wind. It should have been the end, but destiny was not finished with her yet. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of humanity that survives even in the harshest times, then pause for a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Every story here carries a message meant to touch your heart and remind you that compassion still matters in this world. As the woman drifted in and out of consciousness, the earth seemed to blur into the sky. She whispered prayers, desperate that her sons might live even if she could not. The cries of coyotes echoed in the distance, reminding her how close danger lingered. But before despair consumed her, a shadow fell over her body. It was tall, broad-shouldered, with hair as black as raven's wings, and eyes sharp with both caution and empathy. A Sioux man had come across her, drawn first by the sound of the crying infants, and then stunned at the sight of a woman nearly dead, yet refusing to let go of the babies in her arms. He knelt beside her, his weathered hands surprisingly gentle as he checked the frail infants. Their breaths were shallow, their tiny fists trembling in the heat. The man could have turned away. The world had taught him to mistrust those who came to settle his people's lands. But something in this woman's eyes, though clouded with pain, held a plea he could not ignore. Without a word, he lifted her carefully, securing the twins against his chest, and began the long walk back toward the shelter of his people's camp. Through the journey, the woman drifted between life and death. She dreamed of her husband, who had abandoned her, of the moment he had ridden away, leaving her in the desert when labor took her strength. She remembered his voice, telling her she would not survive, that she was a burden too heavy to carry. That betrayal cut deeper than any wound. Yet in her darkest hour, it was a stranger, someone she had been told was her enemy, who carried her with more care than the man who had sworn to love her. The Sioux man's people greeted him with cautious stares, some whispering against bringing an outsider into their midst. But when they saw the newborn twins, tiny and helpless, their hearts softened. The elder women hurried to tend to the mother, bathing her wounds, feeding her water, and wrapping the infants in soft hides. Nights passed slowly, filled with the cries of the newborns and the woman's whispered gratitude, her voice breaking as she regained her strength. She did not know why this man had saved her, but his presence gave her peace, silent, steady, protective. As days turned to weeks, she began to see him differently. He was not a fierce enemy as she had once been told. He was a protector, a man who believed in life above all else. He taught her how to gather roots for food, how to soothe the twins when they cried, how to find water hidden beneath dry soil. Though he rarely spoke, his actions became a language of their own, a steady promise that she was no longer alone. The twins grew stronger, their cheeks filling with color, their cries growing louder each dawn. Each time she looked at them, her heart swelled with both pain and hope. Pain for the life she had lost, for the betrayal that had nearly cost her everything. Hope because she now understood that sometimes family was not bound by blood or vows, but by compassion and sacrifice. The Sioux man had no obligation to her, yet he had become the anchor that held her steady. When whispers of danger came, rumors that settlers were moving closer, bringing violence with them, she feared she would once again be cast out. But the Sioux man stood firm before his people, vowing that she and her sons were under his protection. His voice carried with strength not of dominance but of conviction. For the first time since she had been abandoned, she felt safe. The desert that had once seemed to her like a death sentence now became the very place of her rebirth. Every sunrise painted the sky in colors of promise. Every breeze carried the memory of a man who had chosen to save instead of condemn. She began to walk with strength again, her body healed, her spirit lifted by the bond she shared not only with her sons, but with the man who had refused to let them perish. And though the world beyond their camp still carried shadows of fear and mistrust, within her heart she knew that something greater had been born in that desert, not just her twins, but a story of compassion, of survival, of an unexpected kinship between a broken settler woman and a Sioux man who gave her back her life. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that kindness can still shine through even in the darkest hours, then please like, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Comment below with your thoughts. I read every word, and your voices are what keep these stories alive.